Hey everybody, my name's Chuck, and today I'm going to be exploring the Greenway Trail in Hot Springs, Arkansas. So here we are at the beginning of the Greenway Trail. The Greenway Trail is a multi-use trail that's for bicycles, pedestrians, runners, whoever, that follows the Hot Springs Creek all the way down to Lake Hamilton. It's not complete as of yet, but quite a few strides have been made in order to make it as long as possible and as quick a time as possible. But it's a great opportunity for pedestrians and other people to try to enjoy being outdoors, try to enjoy getting exercise without the threat of being ran over constantly on the streets by cars. And you also get this awesome view almost all the way down of Hot Springs Creek. And this right here is where Hot Springs Creek exits from under downtown. This creek goes all the way under downtown, starts off over in the mountains somewhere. And they had to go ahead and cover it all up and allow it to run under downtown. First, I think I'm going to go take a look at the old train station. It's pretty interesting. Here we are at the beginning of the trail, and we have a little monument to what appears the United Transportation Union Presidents, Brotherhood of Locomotive Firemen and Engine Men, Order of Railway Conductors and Brakemen, Brotherhood of Railroad Trainmen, and the Switchmen's Union of North America. So here I am at the transportation depot. The transportation depot is actually the original train depot for Hot Springs, Arkansas. It was built in 1917 by the Missouri Pacific Railroad. Obviously, it ferried thousands of people into Hot Springs during the 30s, 40s. There was tons of people that wanted to come to visit the bathhouses. They wanted to come gamble, maybe. They wanted to go ahead and see all the scenic sights and sounds that Hot Springs had to offer, and this is where they came in. This is where I'm assuming you would have came to gotten a train ticket or something like that. I've been inside it before. Obviously, it's a fairly old building, but it's very reminiscent of like what you imagine a 1920s train station being. I think next, let's go check out the old train platform. This right here was the old platform for the train whenever it came into town, but obviously it's been repurposed. Some of it is a parking lot and some of it is an art installation. And then on the other side, they've included a veterans memorial, they put a tank over, and they've still got other art installations as well. You can sort of vaguely tell here by the platform that like the ground is depressed, almost like that there was a railway or something that came up next to it. And then when you actually walk further down, you can see where the rails kind of like merge into the grass. I guess all they did was just cover up the rails. They never actually pulled them up. But it makes sense. It's the easiest way to do it. Plus, you can see the rails later, and it kind of lets you know the history of the area. I think we're just gonna do a quick run through of all the art exhibits. There's a ton of them around here. Here we have a monument to all of the American veterans of various wars. I don't know exactly when this was established, but this is a very worthy inclusion to the Greenway Trail. I feel like this one's kind of a big deal. It's a tank, but I don't know what kind of tank it is exactly. Maybe it's a Sherman? I don't know. I'll have to look it up and see. If you've never been close to a tank before, you don't quite realize how big they are. That gun is huge. The turret's huge. The individual wheels of the tracks are massive. I mean, I'm almost 6 feet tall, and It comes up to my neck. It's pretty incredible. And for those who are wondering, yes, you can climb it, but no, you can't open it. I guess they were afraid of people hurting themselves or getting locked in, so they went ahead and sealed the hatch up top. You know, anytime I visit a veterans memorial like this, it makes me extremely appreciative of the work that all of our service members do in order to ensure we get to maintain our style of living and our quality of life. They truly go out and make the world a safer place for people that want to be free. And I'm very proud of everyone that serves. And here we have the farmers market where various people come and sell fresh produce and other kind of like artisanal items. I can't remember exactly the hours, but here are the hours for the farmers market. A bunch of very interesting sculptures. Not sure exactly what they are. And then we got big old wind chimes. Oh my goodness. You knew I was gonna have to do the wind chimes. Here are the railroad tracks that lead up to the depot. They don't go all the way up to the platform anymore. They still left them in for the sake of showing the history of this area. It's pretty cool. Time across the street. If we can avoid dying here. On a hot day like today, that water does look so cool, but with it coming from under Hot Springs downtown, I don't know that I want to swim in it necessarily. Ooh. This is another exhibit by Jean Foe. Pretty cool. It's got like an iridescent shine to it. Here is a kind of like wore out map of the Greenway Trail. And here's an actual map of the trail, just in case that weathered version wasn't very clear. You get an idea of like the general layout. Pylons that this bridge is on, it's like a little pedestrian bridge to get your bike over to the road. Pretty sure all these concrete pilings were at one time for the railroad. And as you'll notice, around all these areas, there are railroads that go all to the different buildings. Because I'm assuming at one point that you just pull up to the building, it'd be about train car height, you just load cargo into it. I'll show you some of this here. This is a really good example of where the rail used to be. I'm assuming that there was some sort of divertment off in order to go to this particular dock. You could tell the railroad just sort of goes to the building and ends. So that was the end of the line. So here you can see a railroad tie. Up there, some of the railroad is still exposed, and you can tell where it must have ran up next to this building that had a couple of spots in order for you to open up and load into cars or something. And then the railroad ties continue on until there's actually rail down there. I can't help but imagine that they didn't bother to pull up all these rail ties and railroads. If they did, it's impressive, but more than likely they're just buried underneath the asphalt and concrete. And here's a perfect example. There are the rails. You can see where the asphalt is a bit tore up. And then there's actually rail exposed. And here we have the Velocity Park, which goes along Valley Street, and it's for like riding your mountain bikes, riding your BMX bikes, things of that nature. Whoa! I guess we really meant to hold some speed through this. I'm riding this with one hand, so if I die, whoops, nearly did. Definitely need to be riding this with two hands. This is brand new to me. They must have just installed all of this over here. I haven't been here since they did. It's pretty intense. I'm gonna ride around it a little bit. You have this little wooden part. I'm assuming this is for like the kiddos to get used to the idea of riding. But what's really cool is they've got this big train up here, and you've got kind of a ramp that lets you ride up into it. So, there was somebody in there. I didn't want to bother the guy that was in there. Although I really wanted to go through that train. That would have been cool. Here we're going on to the next part of the Greenway Trail that leads by the recycling center and skate park. Here's the recycling center. Here we have the skate park. And we cross another bridge. Love bridges. Whee! So at one point, this part of the Greenway belonged to Sanders, which is a plumbing supply, and I think they do AC parts. They do maybe some electric stuff as well. They were gracious enough to donate this so that we could have this Greenway Trail for everybody in Hot Springs. But going downhill a little bit, and then we're going to go up to the next crossing, which crosses over. Well, I could the name of the street if I wanted to, but it's a bridge, and then it leads to Majestic Field. I love Majestic Field. Here's the bridge. And this right here is Majestic Park. So now I'm at the legendary Majestic Park. This right here was the spring training grounds for a lot of MLB teams back in the 20s to 50s, roughly. There were a lot of legendary players that came through here, and it made sense. It's very easy to get in shape here by hiking through the mountains. It's very easy to recover by taking a hot bath. Temperatures are fairly mild. There's several reasons to come to Arkansas in order to get your spring training. But these fields, there's probably about 5 now, maybe 4 or 5. I'll have to count as I go by. This field right here was used for spring training along with Fordyce Field across town, which was behind the alligator farm. So it's pretty cool. Obviously, the fields have been repurposed. There's a game going on today. There's tons of baseball fields here. This used to be the old Boys and Girls Club, but before that, it's had various names. It was completely redone back in 2022 and made into these more modern versions of baseball fields. And it's really cool to see that this historic field has not been left to waste, but rather has been made an integral part of Hot Springs. Here we got Hank Aaron Field, as it says on the big scoring sign out back, and then the biggest field, which is the one furthest over, that's actually Babe Ruth Field. Makes sense that they would want to give him the honors. And it looks like on the big field, If you were to try to hit a home run over the very back wall, it's 400 feet. So that's a significant hit. I think there are some actual MLB fields that aren't 400 feet. So it's pretty legit. We got Tory Dreams, and then in the background, there's a crane flying. I don't know if you can see it. And then here's the railroad trestle. This is part of the railroad that we were talking about earlier. This is the leg that goes over to Mountain Pine, perhaps? Although that line is probably not used anymore. A little bit of shade, and it feels great, man. It was a fairly warm day today. It's probably in the 90s. But with the shade, it's becoming downright reasonable, especially with the fact that we're moving. Oh, there's some art. Oh no, we're going by it. Another bridge. This one will stop by. Matter of fact, we'll even go across it. Yay! Okay, now I got to turn around with one hand without killing myself. I find it kind of interesting that they wanted to make this particular sewer manhole cover a little bit more decorative by giving it rocks. I really like this particular art exhibit. Pretty. We're almost to Hollywood Park, and Hollywood Park has a few different ways we can go. We can go to the actual little park, which is made for the kids to enjoy. We can go to the cemeteries. They've actually made a trail over to Hollywood Cemetery, which is the main old cemetery here. Or we can continue to go down, but I think I'm going to opt for the cemetery today. We've got two things of note here. We've got the Bark Park, which is where you can go take your dogs. We also have Historic Hollywood Cemetery. I'm about to go closer to the sign. There it is, Historic Hollywood Cemetery. It's said to be an extremely old cemetery. If I'm not mistaken, the earliest gravestone they could find dated back to 1856. It is, I think, one of the first cemeteries in Hot Springs, realistically. And they were nice enough to go ahead and add a paved pedestrian trail all the way through it, much like the Greenway Trails. So you're able to ride through the cemetery, not through a bulk of the actual, like, gravestones, but you can at least get through the cemetery. This is kind of where I think the oldest plots are in the cemetery. There's another section way, way, way south of us that has some old plots as well. But at this point, whenever I walk up to them, I can't really even read them. They're that old. They're covered in lichen and moss, and they're weathered. Again, I can't even begin to read what this says. 1874-ish is when he was born, buried 1924. And that person was never buried. Maybe they were buried and maybe they remarried. I can't answer that. That one broke. And here is a Medal of Honor recipient, Christian Steiner. He's actually fairly historic. He died relatively young there. World War II. As with a lot of cemeteries, this one has some family plots. It has some fraternal order plots. And it even has a Confederate section, and I'll try to get back to and film a little bit of that as well. This particular plot right here appears to be for like a Order of Eagles, maybe, fraternity, for lodge number 380. So a fair amount of plots in there. And this particular plot appears to be for Spanish War veterans. And again, you can tell it's quite full. I spent quite a bit of time in this cemetery because, well, I like cemeteries. I like cemeteries because we get to see a little bit of our history, and you can see how old a place is by how old the plots are. You can probably tell the health of a population by how long people were living on average. In this particular cemetery, it seems like most people were fairly long-lived, which indicates to me that it's probably an expensive cemetery, or was at the time. I think I see new plots occasionally as well, so I don't think it's a dead cemetery, but there may be a lot of other cemeteries that are more valued at this point in time. I feel like this is an older thing, but there's tons of family plots as well. I don't feel like that's a modern thing. All over the place. Big old family plots. There's a few mausoleums. It's interesting. Look at all these old plots. Old family plots. It was a big deal, I guess, to make sure that your family was buried with you. That way you could rest in eternity together. A lot of big monuments as well. Indicates a lot of money. Again, a real sign of money that Mr. Plessner managed to have a big old crypt like this. Mausoleum. All right, and here we have arrived at the Confederate section of the cemetery. With us being in Arkansas, this is bound to be a thing in any old cemetery. And it's not a massive plot, but it's big enough to justify visiting. It is exceptional. You'll notice that this particular part, even though the graves are very old, everything is well maintained. Certain parts of the cemetery are maintained well, and certain parts are not as maintained. Our father, Stephen C. Robinette, born in 1845 and he died in 1923. Here we have William S. Williams, born in 1840 and died in 1932. We have Amanda M. Williams, born 1846, died 1929. Here is the resting place of Andrew Williams, born 1845, died 1916, 70 years old, just a good husband and a true Christian. Also a brave soldier. Here's the Acres plot, the Bell plot. Can't see that name. It's been covered. There's the Davis plot, the Tate plot. There's a lot of people buried in each of these plots. The barns. These people had managed to somehow have enough money to buy an entire plot of the cemetery and to have enough money to get everybody buried. And some of these are more modern plots as well. These are not all old plots. Some of these are more recent deaths. Here we have an absolutely massive stone monument to the Barker family. And it doesn't look like there's that many people in the Barker plot. It looks like there's only 3. But they have a spire that's got to be the better part of 15 feet tall there. I can't imagine how many thousands upon thousands of dollars it cost. And it is extremely polished, so it has to be relatively new. Here's another fairly incredible monument for the Rast family. Looks like some sort of lady holding possibly a flower bloom. It's absolutely gorgeous. But it's the monument for the Davies. Again, how many thousands of dollars does it take to make something like this? And it's got this prophet almost at the top. It's gorgeous. This person, it says, died 1884. She was born in Virginia in 1856. So this family clearly had some money. They still do, because they're willing to make this sort of monument. But there's a massive, like, I don't know, crypt or something, and it's pretty cool. It's for this 3 of the Stitts. There's a place called the Stitt Mansion in town. I wonder if there are any relations to the people who own the Stitt Mansion. And then on this side, Pattersons. There's a Dr. Ralph Moody Patterson. So yes, he had money. Frank Stitt Patterson and Helen McCarthy Stitt Patterson. This is their little family plot. Now, I happen to be informed enough to realize that these are probably wealthy people. They probably were wealthy people. They were people of status. So it makes sense as to why they would have this large crypt. Well, unfortunately, my battery and my time are about to run out, so I'm going to go ahead and end the video here. I want to thank everybody for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed this. If you'd like to see more content like this, I'm going to be trying to make as many videos as possible. Let me explore in various places, and if you would, please give the video a like. Thanks, and I'll see you next time. Thanks for watching, and if you want to see more videos like this, feel free to subscribe to the channel.